I would like to move on with the first question. I would like to dive right in because I know we have a lot of questions later as well. I don't want to waste any time. Bhavna, I would like to start with you. What does your psychological or mental preparedness process looks like before you get on stage?
Okay. Personally, for me, when I study any event, I'd like to know the industry which I'm catering to. So I think that for me is very important. Of course, knowing the key people who I'm going to be calling upon, if I can do as much as study as possible, because that's what I feel that if I'm calling someone whom I might know better, I think my eloquence and my introduction would be way easier. And I think that person also relates when I put in a nuance or an extra, line from my side. Because what script we get as an MC would be the flow. But what you hear on stage, I would say, one line is in the script, 10 lines is by the MC, right? So you have to keep improvising. So that's what I do a lot, wherein learn the industry better. And of course, knowing the people whom I'm dealing in and the audience. So today, I'm dealing with an experiential marketing audience. You guys know, you've hired us, we work together. But if I don't know the audience, I think it becomes not relatable, right? So I try to be as relatable as possible. That's my study.
Great. Next, Aditya.
Because I'm a theatre boy, I studied here at NSD also trying to plug in
You had
things,
to fit
no?
that in somewhere, right?
Yeah, I have to. Itna mehnat kiya,
That's
I
a
have to.
plug-in.
Waiting for it.
You have to. So I for me, it is ki 2 ghante pehle, if we get those 2 hours before, that's the first thing. If we get it, which we usually do, I usually go in my own self mode where I am listening to songs. If it's a wedding I host, it's more like Punjabi songs. If it's a corporate, I'm listening to podcasts either by him or by Varun Duggi, anybody. It's more of that. Script, of course, the basic is ready, but I try and work on the under bit of it, like intonations kahan marunga, pauses kahan marunga, sawal kahan dalunga, etc. And of course, by this I mean that my briefing is done. I've spoken to the client, I've met my audience, sab kuch ho chuka hai. This is me, of course, your clothes are ready. And I stay near the stage, 2 ghante pehle, ekdam shant. I don't talk to anybody and just listen to songs, that's it. And then when you go up,
Basically, you're the topper kid who kind of behaves like कि मैं तो कुछ पढ़ के नहीं आया, and then later kind of shines on the paper, right? Next, Zinia, please.
Okay, I think for me, your question was how do I mentally or
Yeah, how do you
psychologically
prepare
prepare myself? And I think the answer to that would be I go with a mindset of complete co-creation. For the longest time, I used to think, I'm one of those who will go and, present for a brand. But I think after doing it for a couple of years, you kind of figure that you are the brand for that particular day or for those many hours or for those many minutes. So my endeavor before I begin the show to right at the end of the show is to co-create that show with every single person involved, be it the client, be it the agency, most importantly, my audiences. And I think the second thing that I am still a learner of and seeker of is to be completely, fully, 100% present for those many minutes or hours. I think for an artist, and Siddharth, you would know that's the hardest thing to do, right? To forget about what just happened a couple of minutes ago, because we all have a life, let's face it. But to be fully present is, I think, when you completely enjoy yourself doing that particular show. So that is how I mentally prepare myself. And then Punjabi songs are always there to help.
Check. Am I supposed to answer the same question?
Yes.
All right. First of all, I want to you all to give a thunderous round of applause for the Avengers of the emceeing world. I have such high regard for each one of them. Can we make it louder, especially the gentleman on the last row who's messaging his neighbor's wife right now? Hello, sir. All right. I really enjoy myself before an event. I'm very, very light. In fact, I do all the things that I enjoy. But you know what? What happens is I get my alter ego out. What is the alter ego? A person who's very, very fearless. Because what happens is you get a lot of brief from the clients, which is great. You get an approach, which is great. But what is the game-changing aspect is that when you do your own value adds. So I start thinking about what are the elements that I am going to bring to the table where the client himself or herself watches and says, wow, where did this come from? And sometimes, unabashedly, I keep that trump card in my pocket. I don't even tell the client that this is going to happen because somewhere I believe it's going to work. So I'm thinking about all these things because I've got the brief, but I'm thinking when I take this brief to the next level. And that's when I keep telling myself, like a boxer tells himself, I've got nothing to lose. Because remember one thing, a client gives you a brief, you understand the brand, which is fabulous. But if you stick to the exact brief, you're replaceable. Because anyone can come and start doing the same thing, the faces change. So I think about those elements which will take my brand equity and the brand's equity, which is one and the same, to another level. So that's what I do. अंदर के fearless इंसान को मैं जगाता हूँ. I talk to myself, I party with myself, and think about those elements.
Well, makes sense. Pretty nice, well put. Rahul, please.
So I was hosting, plugging in. The gentleman to my right has seen much more radio than I have, but I joined radio way back in 2007, and that's when my journey started. And later on, I started hosting events, and there's this one time I was hosting a New Year bash. Now, as we all know, New Year bash is probably one of the most difficult events ever because there are people drunk, they have bottles in their hand. If somebody gets irate, there's one bottle flying, there are 1,000 bottles flying towards you. And we've seen adequate number of those incidents happening. But the CEO of the organization asked me how much of it is going to be planned and how much of it is going to be spontaneous. I couldn't have been thinking of anything better. I said, sir, 100% planned and 100% spontaneous. Because life doesn't prepare you for those speed breakers, those hiccups that come in. There are times when, the lights go off in the middle of the event. There are times when, you have a complete blackout. That happened at the 31st event. And when you come back, and that's what I did, I said, wait a second, that was to grab your attention. We did that on purpose. And now, if you want us to play the music, you've got to shout out loud. So that's how you come out of a situation. There are downers that are going to come your way. But how you rise up, spring back in action, in spite of life knocking you 1,000 times down, it's how you rise back with the mic again.
In fact, I want to add to this, okay? I love these elements that happen. So I remember, like you have these stairs that lead to the stage, right? So I remember telling the agency that, listen, ye tootne wala hai. Nahi, sir. And that time when you're on stage, you get very possessed. So I walked and I suddenly fell down, patak. And I fell down and then I just said, I have a very laid-back approach to life. And would you believe that was the moment which really lifted the audience? So somewhere, I kind of enjoy all these goof-ups that happen technically and all that, because that's what gives you the moment, the MC, the moment to rise and shine, right? Sometimes people say, sorry yaar, 20 minutes karna padega because there's a flaw which is happening backstage. In my head, I'm saying, I love it. Bring 30 minutes more, because that's the time you use that. And then the agency comes and says, yaar, tune bacha liya yaar. In your head, I was waiting for this. You can't tell them directly. But those moments are the one which actually makes an MC what it is. Those flaws, those goof-ups, and how you maneuver it.
Ravin.
Check. Takes time. Technology, right? Honestly, they've covered all the bases, right? But I'll just give you a personal process that really goes behind the curtains. So, T minus whatever show that's going to happen, the last 24 hours to 5 minutes, whatever time is on your hands, depending on how prepared the show is or kitne time pehle aapke account mein wo Gandhi ji aaye hain. All of those things into consideration. What happens is you mentally prepare yourself with getting all the information that you can consume. Now, be it the brand that you're representing, be it the show that you are going to host, or anything else that's going down, right? You're a spokesperson, you need to reflect the brand through the face value and the words that you're projecting on the dais. They're paying you for it, right? It's a very professional outcome that everybody is expecting out of you. So, the preparation happens to that time. The moment you're about to get on the stage is where the magic happens. As Sid was pointing out, you go all out crazy. You try, and I personally go with a couple of deep breaths. That really helps me center, as Bhavna was pointing out, that you need to kind of switch it on, and that's what really happens. So consciously, you were prepped, now you want to get into your subconscious so that you can actually be organic. Because if I'm talking to you and I'm reading a page, it has completely different dynamics of the energy interaction that's happening from the stage to the other side of it all. So at the end, it's human to human connect, as we all have been saying. You need to understand where you're needed, how much you're needed, and if God forbids and God willing, something goes wrong, that's where you get an opportunity to improvise as well. You know, that's the most organic part. That's where the humor comes out. That's where you feel connected to the person on the stage, the brand, and the whole event itself. So it's a process of your conscious, subconscious coming together, and then it's a craft of refining that process with experiences of falling down and getting back up every single time. You know, that's how I'd like to put it.
Pretty much nice. I loved everybody's response. I think
Are you actually going to tell us you didn't like anyone's response?
we're
We're your guest. You're
Who's
obviously
that?
going to like every response.
Sir, you would have known me by now. I will. I genuinely will.
She does, huh?
I
Okay.
can be that.
I like you already.
Okay, perfect. So, coming further to all six of you, the last time I was moderating a panel, I remember there was this real-time audience engagement. You know what question I'm coming to now. At times they ask questions and they kind of start explaining so much that it turns out a 15-minute question altogether. So last time while I was moderating a panel, no offense to anybody, I now know that that man's father was struggling with something and his mom's mother was also struggling with something. And there was a long story behind it, which I now know the background history of his family, which is nice. I could have known that some other day as well. But, but how do you handle that? The crisis management, the real-time audience engagement, and the unpredictable engagement that comes along with it. How do you manage that? Bhavna, I'd like to start with you.
So, I mean, what is audience engagement, if I may ask, right? We're trying to get to know one another better. Looking at the theme of the event, all right? I personally feel that not everywhere a Bollywood dialogue will work. Not everywhere will a quiz work, right? We don't need to have a set of, you know, since for me it's been like 14 years of hosting, it can't be a set of, hey, I need to do tongue twisters, I need to do this, I need to do that. It cannot be a rule book which comes across. What I feel is, it's about the person who's sitting there, you know, on my left. It's about the lady who's sitting on my right. Am I able to connect with her? Is she hearing me or is she listening to me? Am I able to create an energy difference in the crowd? Because as a communicator, what is it that I am able to do better than maybe Lalit sitting out there, right? What is it that I can do better than any of you? I need to understand that first. And I personally feel that crisis management, in my head, there is no crisis. It's an opportunity, right? So I am getting that opportunity to connect with all you wonderful people. So I get that excitement that, hey, I have been blessed with that opportunity. I am the one in the spotlight with, you know, whoever is with me in that moment, and I'm getting a chance to interact. So it could be even a hook step, or it could be a very basic question, hey, how you doing? And if I get that smile, I'm the happiest person. So for me, honestly, it's all in the head, is simply put, if I may say that way.
I have a question again in return to this. I'll be very honest, we have a timer going on. We need to keep the show running well on time. It is good to be empathetic.
We got the hint, we understood,
Yes.
we will get
I
out
know.
in 30 minutes.
Yeah, so exactly my point. So at that moment, I know you can be empathetic because, of course, inside you know you always want to connect with the audience and listen to them. But what do you do about the event management guy showing you the ticking clock at the back of the stage?
So I think it's just about being empathetic to everyone. Okay, understanding that the event planners have a timer. We all have a timer. But also understanding that the audience needs something more, right? But time, I personally feel, is very important. Right? So for me, it's just about striking that balance, that if the event manager looks at me and says this, it's my cue to ensure that everything is shutting on the stage.
Right.
So I personally feel the event manager has employed me in this opportunity, and I need to get the work done.
Right.
So I take it personally there. Yeah.
Perfect. Aditya, what do you think?
Chalta hai. I think Perks have been the youngest one here. That's another plug-in now. Okay, but I think picking up from where he left, that going by the Bible of emceeing, जो आपको brief मिला, you have to follow that. Of course, we all do that. We know how to speak clean English and correct Hindi and all that. सब कुछ है. When you come in times of crisis, and if you can handle that, probably some of us can, some of us can't. वो कभी बहुत कहते हैं अच्छा MC नहीं है, and of course we even take it more or further away from where we were in that crisis, is what really makes an MC or breaks your name. I personally feel that. क्योंकि सबको मालूम है basis सबके same है, हमको जाके बोलना ही है. In that crisis, what really makes or breaks you. Second, I think if you ask how do you tackle that, let's say if I am on the stage, I'm more like I'm announcing and I'm talking to an audience. In terms of crisis, I make it not me, I make it we. I start involving them also. अच्छा आपको पता है मेरे पापा ऐसे ये करते थे and मेरे पापा ना सर एकदम आपकी तरह लगते हैं. मुझे पता नहीं क्यों, आप बताइए. अब देखो मैंने ये पत्ता अपने ऊपर से हटा के I've thrown it on him now. Now it's his challenge to take it forward from there. Of course, I'll be the sutradhara in that crisis. I think that V circle works really well for me. Second, I think language change has worked always the best for me. It's because anyways, it's like you've done all this hook steps, ये सब कर चुके हैं, and we are coming off in that circuit. But I really feel, do whatever you want. Eventually, आप करोगे वही जो आज सालों से चलता आ रहा है. You'll just add like addy element to it. Language change has worked surely well for me. Let's say if the entire show is in English, and you can take it in Hindi, and of course try and handle the crisis there, because people will only agree with what the language they think in, I personally feel. और जिसमें वो सोचते हैं ना, if you come down to talking in that, then the crisis is like, it's in your hand. I personally feel that. That works for me.
Makes sense. Zinia.
Okay, so I really feel that events are just a reflection of life. और life में कोई चीज़ हमेशा थोड़ी ना सही होती है. So I'm always mentally prepared. I mean, yeah, sounds very philosophical, but I'm always mentally prepared, and having done a lot of E4M events, I'm even more mentally prepared for any kind of crisis.
What does that mean? Now
What
tell
do you
me.
mean by that, Zinia?
We really want to know what that meant.
We can extend the
Mr.
timer.
Patra,
However,
Speak
coming
around,
back to
stop.
the point, yeah, like I said, it's a reflection of life, and I think I kind of want to take from what he said, which is that it's very important as an artist to know that we are no different from the person sitting in front of us. Let's not underestimate an audience for a second and say कि यार क्या करूँ इनके साथ, समझ में आएगा या नहीं, will they talk to me or not, are they going to sing, are they going to dance? Of course they're going to dance. We're all human beings, and given a chance we all want to have fun, we all want to talk. It's surprising how many of the audience members are better speakers than us. And जब एक बार माइक मिल जाता है तो छोड़ते नहीं हैं. So there's really no dearth of conversation, there is no dearth of enjoyment. But I do want to say, from the perspective of an artist, one of the easiest ways to engage an audience if you have those 20 minutes or 30 minutes is to be constantly listening throughout the show. Because if we are sutradhars, then the show is a story. And it is very, very crucial, according to me, especially the formats of shows that I host, that I need to make those 20 or 30 minutes a part of this story. At no point in time should it appear like, oh, what's happening? Why is this happening? Ye kahan se aa gaya? This doesn't make sense. This doesn't fit in. It has to absolutely fit in. And I think that also comes with doing it more. That's about it. So that's really my take on managing 20 unavoidable minutes of interaction.
Okay. So I would like to change the question at your end now. You host a lot of different kind of formats of shows, from live events to interviews to pre-recorded shows and everything. We know that it's not easy to host a corporate event and an entertainment fun show, right? What kind of change in tonality, voice modulation, what kind of art is required there according to you?
okay, first I want to answer your first question.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
Which is?
Knew it.
Which is?
Knew it.
नहीं, मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. तो ये बहुत बार, I mean, all of them spoke about crisis management, which is fabulous. I think you were talking about especially this point कि कोई आदमी बोल रहा है या महिला बोल रही है, बोलते जा रही है.
Yes.
Hey Siddharth, what's up man? How are you? Good to see you. So बोलते जा रही है, panelists बोलते जा रही है, and you don't know where it's going on because they're talking about their wives, their sasurji, their
Exactly.
traumas in life, which is great, pet dog, everything. But you want to get back to the mudda,
Yes.
right? So whether it's a panel discussion, whether when I do podcasts, right? Now, for example, 2 days back, I was with a star doing a podcast, and I wanted to get him to that point where I know I'm going to get my title and thumbnail. And then suddenly he went here, there, moved around, and I said, Mudde pe aao, I can't do that. But I'm very, very attentive. So moment I realize they're deviating, I give them that few seconds. Okay, chalo, you deviate, but I'm sure you'll come back. When they don't do that, when that pause happens, Like for example, person saying, "Meri mother-in-law jo hai," and you want to talk to him about how much money he has in the bank balance, and he talks about his mother-in-law, and he does, and then tak, I move in. I move it in that pause and tak, I take it off.
Right.
So which means I'm on my toes. I know every movement that's happening. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking at the audience. My ears are listening to Zinia and all of them. I know exactly what that person on the extreme left-hand side is doing, where he's opening the entire itinerary on the extreme left. I know that Siddharth over here is doing this, and I'm also hearing Bhavna. And I do this simultaneously because I made myself like that. So it's that pause when you intervene, move in, and get him back to the mudda.
Right.
Now talking about how do you mold yourself, whether it's a corporate event, or a wedding event, or a concert. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now I'll tell you one small thing. Digital and events are now merging together, all right? And it's becoming very, very strong. Sometimes I get a very solid premium price because a perception is of me. I'm being very honest and very, very raw and candid. I get a brand who says, "I have hired you for this. I need your energy in this. I want you to go all out and make sure these guys have such a good time." So I understand they're paying a premium for me. So at that time, I'm doing exactly what I am known for. And I bring that to the table. Now, what is a corporate tone? I think lines have got blurred. Today, people like it to be very real. For example, years back, I used to stand on top of chairs and do stuff. Thankfully, a lot of people are doing it now, but it's okay. But I'm coming back to the main point. At that time, people said, "Yeah, corporates to ye karenge nahi. But for me, the mission was to change the game and say corporates will also do those things with you if you allow them to do it. And the moment I did that, I changed the game at that point of time. And I realized people were calling me more and more for that. All right? So, tonalities, etc., depend on what the situation is.
Right.
For example, I did an interview with Narendra Modi, all right? And it was on digital. So someone came and told me, "You're talking to Modi Saab, all right? Kya tone rakhenge?" And I just did how I talked to my best friend. And he opened up like mad, right? It's very important to understand what you feel. So today if I talk to Mr. Bachchan, and I say, "Bachchan Saab, kaise hain aap? Theek hai, you're doing well." And he says, and suddenly he's, "Arey Siddharth, tum kaise ho?" Am I going to stick to that tonality? I'm going to change
Of each one of you beyond hosting events. That's what I want to know. Okay. Bhavna?
So my personal aspiration when I entered the field, so I was placed in Google, I always wanted to make communication women-based, very intellectual, very refined. I want to add more content creation, but in a different perspective. Like if I am talking about sustainability, I take that as a core topic. So I'm trying to create my future aspiration is that whoever hears me next, I'm adding value to them. And I have 3 core topics. One is politics, one is sustainability, and one is real life stories. So I have it pictured it all out. I have it drafted, and that is what I'm going to be delivering
You want
next.
to be a storyteller, right?
Yes, that's my next.
Mr. Malik?
So from where I come from, Bareilly, my parents still, if they ask them कि आपका बेटा क्या करता है, कहते हैं नौटंकी करता है. But this is what father says now, and he says, "But अच्छे shows करता है तो महंगी नौटंकी करता है." This is what my father tells everybody. And personally, if you ask me where do I want to land up or aspirational wise, अभी मेरा क्या सपने हैं? It is to make people feel and believe कि emceeing is just not कि अरे अच्छा ये तो कर रहे हो और जॉब क्या करते हो. It is to let people believe कि हाँ भाई this is also something like a regular job, and then try and train people first of course with your voice. Second is also your personality, because at least मैं उसी का खा रहा हूँ. My body is going to let really shape me. So I want to inculcate that in people. Of course, not via school, but that is what my aspiration is to. It's to deliver and impart as much as I can from what I experience and then express in others or with others.
All right, great question. Yes, so beyond the stage, I aspire to make movies. I've already had the privilege of producing two amazing short films that have won global awards. Because just like Bhavna, I'm too a storyteller. I just can't be on camera, so I'd prefer being off it and write, direct, and produce. The second is I'm working on a business idea. I want to own a business that sells a tangible product, Batraji. So that is the next thing I am working on. And I think my third biggest aspiration is to reach that day when I'm absolutely fearless on stage.
Wow, such an honest answer. I really like that, honestly. Wow. So, you know, whenever I used to host, so लोग से ठीक है, you're hosting, but actor नहीं बनना है क्या? And I remember, you know, when these Bollywood directors, Imtiaz Ali, everyone used to come, and I used to have people in those days saying, "Puchna acting ke liye, puchna." And I never wanted to be an actor because I truly believed I wanted to be a specialist in what I do. And believe you me, hosting is a specialization. You master it, you don't need to do anything right, left. But hosting is truly specialization. However, saying that, it leads to a lot of things, keeping your core in mind. Like the other day, with due respect to someone is a host, but also runs a chicken, wrap shop as well, you know. So I never wanted to do that. I wanted to stick to my core. But in my head, I never wanted to be dependent on anyone. I wanted to be an individual entity where I not only take checks, but give checks to people.
I'll give you my account number.
अरे सर, but कभी कभार bounce checks नहीं सर, आपको तो पूरा सर प्यार का. And then I worked towards becoming a platform by myself. So I started my YouTube channel, which started doing very, very, very well. Now we have a sales team, we have a marketing team, we've got writers, we've got coordinators for guests, and it's run like how a TV channel runs. So it's got lots of brands coming in, we shoot very well. So that led to being a media platform by myself. So I used to see, you know, corporate people, politicians, actors going to media platforms. And I wanted to be this individual where people come to him for interviews before media platforms. And I think I've achieved that in the last 2 to 3 years, where they come to an individual to give interviews before a media platform. That led to, obviously, becoming a media platform, which moves into, in a couple of months, in less than 2 to 3 months, with great funding that's come in. I'm going to start my own edtech platform. I have a word called Angar, which I use in my podcast a lot. So my Angar merchandise is coming out tremendously. Besides that, I'm angel investing in quite a few firms as well. So thankfully, when I step out now, when I do events, I'm fearless. When I do interviews, I'm fearless because the one person that I report to is myself, which makes me feel very, very empowered.
Amazing.
I'd just like to add, I was a college-going boy, and I opened the Impact magazine. I used to look at pictures of Sam Balsara, Dr. Batra, industry legends, and I used to actually call those agencies way back. Okay, so these are top 10 advertising agencies. And little did I know, a good 10 years, 12 years down the line, I get to be on stage at an E4M platform with the best of the best in the industry to my right and left, with Dr. Batra sitting there. I never imagined it. So ladies and gentlemen, I think life gives you fun surprises. Just like an MC on stage, you know, there's something that comes your way. I will always look forward to being associated with Exchange for Media in one way or the other, probably working with you in the team, sir. Probably that's one thing on my bucket list. But maybe not, just going to acting or something. But there's something that I like to be associated with people, and that's what I look forward to. And a big, big thank you for organizing all of us together at one platform.
Ravin.
Honestly, I aspire to have my marketing as good as my man right here, booking 10 shows in a single answer, right? Fantastic. No, seriously, you aspire for financial freedom firstly. Once you have that, then it's more about giving back value. There is something spiritual there. If you help people evolve with your craft, be it entertaining them in whatever capacity you can. And once you have a hang of a community around you, that's where you try and, probably live your life to the fullest and try and give people opportunity, just like Sidbhai said. 5 people who started working with me on the team, one is right over there. This man has been capturing me for a few years now. So he makes me look good, puts my content out, gets me more work, and at the end, he also is getting financially, the freedom that we all aspire to. So I think that's the goal at the end, कि घर बनाए तो डॉक्टर बत्रा की कोठी के साथ में बनाए.
But I have to add one thing.
Dr. Mukesh Batra's home is in Goa.
Sir, but
दूसरा भी बनाए.
एक बहुत गंभीर बात, okay? I want to tell you this. So, lot of anchors, because they're great in what they do, but it's a brilliant question that Anurag asked. You got to let money work for you, right? You have to. Sometimes I've heard कि यार मैं बीमार पड़ गया. Like I heard a few anchors, very unfortunately, have really, been unwell mentally and physically because of the workload that happens. And then I was talking to one of the boys a couple of weeks back, and he was like, 3 mahina maine kaam nahi karo, kya ho raha hai shows ka? And I remember this conversation used to happen with me years back. Like, for example, I'm talking to you right now, right? I'm so light. When I'm talking to them, I don't have my phone around. I'm just focusing on the conversation. Because right now, while I'm doing this fun fair, talking to you guys, someone from my team is doing an interview with a Bollywood actor right now. And they are working for me, making money for themselves and making it for me as well. So it's like the Shah Rukh Khan module, right? A guy who's a phenomenal actor opened up so many branches which is related to himself. But he's got the force working for the brand Shah Rukh Khan, which MCs have to do. When the going's great, you've got to think of avenues. I'm not saying become a chef, that also you can be. But start parallel things which relate to what you stand for.
Right, makes sense.
I think just to add in the lines as Sir asked that for all of us, I think Sir combined, going forward, looking at how the creators are working with digital age, all of us will start building our own communities जहाँ पे ये merchandise ये बेच सकते हैं, वो Ravin भी कुछ कर सकता है. I think that is what we all aspire in one sense, I feel. Building our personal communities. I feel.
Great. Any other? We can take, I think, one question.
हाँ, because times of Allah screen अभी blank हो चुका है.
हाँ, वो अब
They've given up on
अच्छा,
us.
एक बहुत पैराडाइम शिफ्ट आ रहा है जो मैं आप सबको बताना चाह रहा हूँ, especially in the corporate and wedding world, all right? Like today, and I'm telling this to all our friends on stage, like sometimes I'm actually called where the brand says you host, but can you put up a reel for me? And today, my team and I genuinely charge for those reels that go up for a brand which I'm hosting for. So your digital and live has to work. I put up a reel sometimes. If I care for someone, I do it FOC. But would you believe 99% of my reels on Instagram when I'm putting for an event is paid for the brand. Today, even brides and bridegrooms actually tell the agency saying, can Siddharth put it on the digital space? And I actually charge the agency to put that real content up. So you got to use your digital and your hosting skills and amplify it. Of course, there's relationships also. So friends say, chalo kar do, you do it. But that's how you can monetize yourself even better.
great, lovely. I think the audience has seen our faces for too long now. We should not bore them more than that. Thank you so much. We shall now wrap the panel. Thank you so much, everybody, for giving up your time for this. I hope you guys had this insightful session. And we'd like to move further for the photos, please, Manjal.
Thank you so much for this amazing discussion. I think when we said this is going to be an entertaining panel, we meant it. And we actually got quite laughs out of you. I would request you all to come together for a group picture. And I request the panelists to stay back. Ms. Kaur, if you could hand over the mementos to the panelists, that'd be great.
Check.
Thank you so much for an amazing discussion.
And
once
I
again.
must say, our panelists were superb, yaar. You were very good. Give it up for her, yaar. Superb.
Can we have a
Our
big round of
moderator,
applause for
she was
our
fabulous.
panel and moderator?
You were very good, yeah. Seriously, so confident. Thank you. Change myself by the minute and become like a 20-year-old Bachchan sir because he's becoming like that. So you have to observe what is happening at that minute. All right? For example, there is a person who's finished talking about life, a spiritual guru. Maybe 15 minutes back, I've been this crazy mad energy guy. But if I see Gaur Gopal Das coming and talking about something very emotional, I change my tone. So there's nothing known as a set tone in this era. It's all about being real. There's nothing like that anymore. Right. You see actors, right? How actors have evolved. They can do anything and everything. There's no formula. So if someone comes and says, this is a corporate tone, this is a wedding tone, no. I did a voiceover for IFA for Lifetime Achievement. In those days, we used to do 20 साल से इन्होंने काम किया है. And ladies and gentlemen, on stage, Subhash Ghai Saab. And I remember I did this voiceover. And Ghai Saab called me in the night. भाई मैं बहुत मेरा लाइफ तो ताबड़ तोड़ है तूने मुझे ऐसे बना दिया जैसे मैं टपकने वाला हूँ. Then Sabas calls me and says, yaar, Ghai Saab wants more energy. But I said, your guy told me to do a soft Lifetime Achievement Award. But Ghai Saab wanted it really powerful. I reworked on it. So it's the lines. It's what you feel at the moment. And remember one thing, what's going to change your game is what you bring to the table. Trust me on that.
Rahul, loved it. Very nice.
So I think he spelled it out in a certain way that there is no code, formula, no cheat code as well. But what I'd like to stress on is that, a lot of people say, jab stage pe jate, I said, you have to like really shout it out. Hey guys, how are you doing? It really depends on what mood the audience is in. Yeah. If the audience is hungry, suppose they've not had lunch, and if you go with that tone, it's going to misfire completely. Plus, even if you look at singers, the evolution of singers, so there's an Arijit, which is a very soft mellow tone. There's a Jasleen that comes in, who's softer than an Arijit, a different industry altogether, but still works. And there's obviously a Kishore song, which is all-time favorite, the fun energy. So we all bring different energies, depending on the time of the day, depending on the nature of the event. And I always believe that you need to surprise the audience. If 10 people are dressed in white, be that black person, okay? And you have to really stand out in voice, in presentation, and even in the tone of voice.
May I add one line, if I may?
Please.
Can I? All right. I love what he said. If people are dressed in black, be the guy in white. But can I tell you one thing? No, it's not about a funeral. I'm just trying to tell, यही होता है. सब लोग एक formula को देखते हैं and they feel it works. So they feel कि यार ये लोग सब black पहने तो मुझे white पहना. That means you're trying too hard. When you try too hard to be different, you are going to fail. Just because he's worn maroon and I find 20 people wearing maroon, should I wear white? No. हमेशा याद रखना, just because you deliberately want to stand out, you try to stand out, you will be really out. You understand? It's a human psychology. So don't try to be outside of the box when you don't need to be out of the box. Sometimes, like Bhavna says, it's okay to be simple. It's okay to be straightforward. That's what I like about Zinia, Bhavna, all of them. Sometimes their simplicity is their beauty. Sometimes you don't need to be todpod. Sometimes you can just be basic. And that's like Mr. Anurag Batra. He's so basic that he does not mix vodka with water. He only has vodka.
Ravin, please, how would you like to sum it up?
Sorry, what was the question?
The question was about tonality, the tonality.
Okay. The most important thing is you need to be a very good listener to understand what the question was. That's where you want to start. No, I'm kidding. Yes, sir. I'm a man in practice now, so have been listening a lot of things. Sir, couple of things that I can talk over.
Batra Saab, we don't want to know everyone's honeymoons right now. Please, I know the weather is cold and you want to hear all that. We'll give you warmth in a different way.
Batra Saab wants to live vicariously through our lives, trying to be young again. So, you know, well done. Of course, I've been recently married and Batra Saab probably was married a while ago, just like a couple of months.
No, but you can still see Batra Saab's face on Tinder. It's still there.
Sir, I'm not doing any comment on this. Please don't.
No.
I'm not in this, sir.
Don't worry, तुम्हारा increment मिलेगा. Don't worry.
No, sir. Okay, sir. Ravin, how would you like to? Moving on, guys. Moving
Yes,
on.
no, for sure. See, this is exactly what it is. It is about reading the room, right? No matter what event you're doing, I was never doing weddings for the 12 years of my event hosting career, right? I've done television, I've done voiceovers, I've done a bit of radio, I've done a bit of this, I've done a bit of that, but never touched wedding for 12 years. Then pandemic happened and I was ready to pivot. The first thing that happened was a lot of digital came into being, so a lot of virtual events are happening. I'm doing a team building session sitting at my home with 70 countries accessing the session that we are hosting right here. And that too was happening on just say a Zoom opened, nothing else, right? There's no technology involved, there's no additional cost involved, nobody is supposed to travel from those 70 countries and get a hotel accommodation. All of that was not happening. So there was a pivot in the industry, right? And you wanted to ride that wave. So virtual happened. Then I thought, okay, why not go and explore the other territories that I was not open to earlier, and ended up doing a lot of weddings. So alter ego comes into play. When you get on the stage, you are a different person, as we mentioned earlier, right? Somebody said that you get your charm on. You need to do that for a corporate client in the most corporate-ish manner. There are certain do's and don'ts. Try and be in that window, but also make sure that at the end, the person sitting on that side is a human being and they want to be entertained. So you entertain them in whatever capacity you can. And my crutch in life and on stage is always humor. If you go out with a joke, out of 10, if you make 7 work, the punchline lands, they laugh with you, they'll forgive you for the 3 that didn't work out. Dr. Batra is a testament to that fact.
Not your wife, he said.
Sir, in all honesty, I am extroverted on stage and introverted at home for specific reasons. You do not speak. शादी एकलौता ऐसा रिश्ता है जिसमें एक इंसान हमेशा सही होता है, दूसरा हमेशा पति होता है. Always be that guy. Listen, shut up, and you're happy.
Okay, we've talked a lot about on-stage appearances and on-stage performance. I want to focus more on the backstage performance. A lot of times, like Siddharth, we were discussing backstage, a lot of times it happens that your interpersonal relation with the interviewee is not that great. You might not have hit it off behind the camera.
इतना सच ये last
No,
interview.
she asked me, and I said, you can push me as much as you want, so I like it. Shoot it.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, that's not what I meant, but okay.
You can push it with me. I like it.
Okay. My whole point is that we tend to not have a great off-record relationship with somebody behind the camera. What do you do to not get that chemistry on camera? What do you do on stage or on camera for both? Bhavna, I think Siddharth and Bhavna, both you can start.
Bhavna, you go for
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
please.
Check. All right. So one of my very recent experiences was, so I got an opportunity, I was just telling all of them that I got an opportunity to interview Narayana and Sudha Murthy. Of course, such luminaries, you know, honestly, we don't get a chance to pre-sit, I would say, and pre-talk. Like, there's nothing like backstage. Maybe, yes, there's a big hello, or, you know, you do end up in having a coffee with them, but there are other talks which are happening, right? But what I have understood is that it is about the key to a great interview is just listening, okay? Of course, you get to contribute, you get to put in your bits as well, but in the interview, the other person is your spotlight. You're trying to understand what he or she is doing in their life that could possibly inspire you. So personally, I love interviews wherein I get a chance to know the person better. I feel that since we never get a chance for, let's say, even if I don't like somebody, let's say, if I'm not personally inspired, all right, but they have done something to be where they are. So personally, I do not like to judge before I head on to interviewing anyone, I leave my personal biases aside because there I am a person who's given a chance to get to know the other party better. And for me, as a role, as an interviewer, it is to know much better about the individual and be it their personal stories, about their future, because I feel any talk, you need to know what's up happening next because that's what inspires you. So my personal bias goes away and that's how I approach an interview. And I know Siddharth and me, we spoke about, he recited something that it's been a spiritual journey, right? When you interview someone and somewhere,
He
I
sometimes
think,
took a rickshaw. He'll tell you about that.
You know, Batra Saab reminds me of this college senior who's perpetually ragging all the juniors.
Yeah.
I feel I'm back to class 11th. But I like it. You find a lot of naughty people like him in the audience as well. And you can't be shaken and
I
stirred.
wanted to moderate this session, and I could have, but I didn't because I wanted. But I did want to be with all of you. With some of you, I spent much more time.
So would you like to put a chair right now?
नहीं, chair नहीं
We
है, but
don't-
I have my questions. आप कर लो उसके बाद में.
Okay, sir. All right.
Sid, would you like to contribute to that question
So
as
what do you
well?
want to ask me now? Ki,
About the off camera relation and how do you kind of maintain that chemistry? If it's not going very well, what do you do?
so I love at this point, maybe I wouldn't have shared this years back, but I'll share it now. So I'll talk about failures.
Please.
ठीक है? मजा आता है उसमें. So I started as a radio host when I was 14. Obviously, life lessons were not too much, all right? Not too much. So I'm going to tell you candid stuff. So not too many life lessons, but yes, I was this fearless young boy doing radio, nothing to lose. All I wanted to do was be seen with these stars, become popular on radio, and hopefully the girls would ask me saying, hey, you know, I heard you, so let's have coffee and all that stuff. That was the agenda. But now, over a period of time, because obviously I've interviewed a lot of people on my YouTube, on events, vagera, all right? What happened was, I'll tell you names. So, the first time Akshay Kumar came to me for a radio interview. All right, now a lot of people told me that, listen, you know what, Akshay loves to be the center of attention. So, you've got to give him lines. He holds the line, and patak, he'll maro a line back, and he likes it, which is how it is, right?
Yeah.
And I said, no, it can't be possible. So I wanted to match him eye to eye. And then he would come to me on the radio interview, and I was 16 years old. So he threw a line at me, and I threw a line back at him. He threw a line at me, and threw a line back at him. And then suddenly I saw him becoming yes, no, yes, no. And that's when I realized the idea was for me to make sure I get a lot of stuff for him. And here, it became a combat going on, right? He would maro Punjabi line, I would maro one back. And in that combat, within 6 minutes, it became a yes, no. But I'm so glad it happened to me at the age of 6, right? I stopped the interview, and I also shut it off because I didn't know what to do at that point of time. Then suddenly, someone gave me his number, and I messaged him in the night and saying, you know what, I'm sorry if you got offended, but I'm starting off now, and just treat it like how you started off, and you didn't know what to do, right? You would have gone onto the sets, you did something, blah, blah, blah. So, but please understand the way you like to experiment in your role, I also want to be experimental with my growth. So I was not following a formula, but in my next interview, I'll ask you straight up questions. But I think with this, I've got the fear of not experimenting. And within 2 minutes, he said, someone from my office is going to call you, come to my home next day. I reached his house, I thought it was an interview, and he sat with me. And we just had a 45-minute conversation. And he told me a lot of things. He said, I would have loved it if you did this banter with me and threw lines at me if I had known you. I didn't know you, so I thought you were trying to be too over smart with me, and that's why I zipped up. He says, now I've spoken to you for 45 minutes, and go all out with me, and I did that. So what happens is, before an interview, I end up liking the whole process of chatting with people. Now, obviously, they know me, so I have that comfort zone. But I started doing that. I would have actors coming into me. I would spend 15 minutes with them, chatting with them, blah, blah, blah. I would start decoding them in my head. And then I would use that approach. So that was my failure, which means I need to understand that person before throwing questions. So that was the failure that taught me a lot.
Great. Aditya, what would you have to share?
And I think very quickly, just to add, we have 3 more minutes left. I'll take an example and I'll try and put this forward. When I was hosting, so my first show ever was with Bill Gates. Lucky enough, I got this. And I think you have to try and build your relation with them, with your interviewee, in just jitne seconds aapke paas. Like, I think I just told him, sir, that I'm just a young kid off the block. All that I know about you is that you're the world's richest man. Nothing else. Can we now try talk beyond that? Yeah. Now he knew कि इसको इतना ही मालूम है मेरे बारे में. He said new kid, he doesn't know anything. He'll have to take it from there. Then we had a very convenient chat, unlike with someone whom I knew. But it couldn't go because he didn't want to go there where I wanted to go. But of course, he knew how to bring it back on track. I didn't know. I think with him, I just told him, so I just know the richest man, but I know nothing else from that, apart from that. Baki Wikipedia, which I don't really want to bring out. Can we talk of more personal life? Like my father told me to ask this. Like I asked him, sir, do you still whack off toiletries from the hotel? I asked him. He said, yes, I do, but only from the premium ones. So I think once you try to relate, like my mom said this, and I just read this, and I thought so. Or coming from a youngster, then even अगर आप किसी को नहीं भी जानते हैं, if someone doesn't like you, vice versa, you start to then come on common ground. So that's worked well with me.
Perfect. Yeah, makes sense.
So if I can add a line also on this. So what I did after that also was, I had so much research on the person, like so much. I did an interview with Vidhu Vinod Chopra a few days back, and he was the only person in my 29, 30-year-old career that I had interviewed. And I was told 5 times, देखो विदु sir है ना, उनका fuse off हो जाता है, तो वो उठ के चले जाएंगे. And they told me these 3 questions don't ask. And this happened 3 weeks back. And I said, if I don't ask these 3 questions, my viewer is going to say, this was a PR interview. So he's got paid, he's calm, like the Akshay Kumar interview which happened with someone else. So I was like, I can't make it look like a PR interview, right? So I said, what am I going to do? But I have to ask him these 3 questions. So what I did was I studied him so much, that he started talking to me. And suddenly I throw this anecdote that, sir, when you did Parinda, this happened, right? And he was like, huh? This happened. And he said, how did you know? And then slowly he started doing, how do you know? Arey tune ye pucha yaar, kisi ne pucha nahi. And he started doing. And by the 28th minute, I had another 7 minutes left. I brought those 3 questions, and he went boom, 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 and he answered. And then when he was about to leave, he said, you know what? I'm glad you asked me these 3 questions, but the only reason I replied is because you took so much interest in my life. So when you talk to someone and you show them interest in themselves, they feel, yeah, he wants to know about me. He likes me. So I generally know the kundali of that person. Sometimes people say, Siddharth, you're so spontaneous in your interviews. But can I tell you very honestly, there's a method to my madness. I make it look very spontaneous, but I work my heart out
I'm sure,
before every interview.
Right.
Every event. Sometimes I come for an E4M event and Batra Sahab and me do banter. But I know beforehand that I've done so much research that I can get away out of that. So nothing replaces hard work, but the trick is to let the audience believe that he's just walking in and he's doing it and he's leaving.
Right. Zinia, how would you like to?
What's the question? Sorry, I've completely lost track.
I think you and Ravin should sit together.
Guilty.
No, let's start from Ravin, no? Okay, sorry. Tell me.
So
what's the question?
Your off-stage relation and how do you deal with it on stage if the chemistry is not great?
I'll have to change that chemistry before I go on stage if I get an opportunity. But I'm a realist, so I'm going to tell everyone very frankly, Siddharth has the the feasibility to have these conversations off camera, but when you're on stage, there are no retakes, right? Also, most often, you're in the middle of the show when the guest is on standby behind and is joining you on stage in just a couple of seconds. So you've literally never met this person before. I'd like to take a cue from what Bhavna said, and I use that moment on stage to know that person better. So that is one. Having said that, if I don't have a great relationship with that person for whatever reasons, the past, of course, which has never really happened to me. But I think if I'd be in that situation ever, then I'd like to change that chemistry before we get on stage.
Correct.
Because when you're on stage, you just can't lie. You just cannot lie. It's worse than being in front of a camera. I think you can cheat a camera, but you can't cheat a human being who's sitting there and watching you. So it's very important that you change that chemistry. It's an opportunity, again,
Perfect.
like she rightly said.
Rahul and
Thank you.
Ravin, I would like you to answer this question just in the shortest way possible. I have one last question after this. So
And while you're answering that, you look at that
I
red
have
screen.
already
Yes.
seen that. That's why I'm saying we have to wrap it up in the best way possible. Please do.
Well, you got to be honest. Be whoever is, sharing the stage with you or the podium or the conversation. You need to be open. You need to give them the hope that you are being as honest as you can be to the bone, so that they can also open up and be as honest. And you need to be respectful, honestly. Any conversation, those are the basic. If you've grown around, say, army background, you'll understand what discipline is. When you're talking to somebody, if you're respectful, everybody on this planet will give you their time. So approach with respect, with honesty, and I think everything else is just falls into place.
Right, Rahul.
So quickly taking a minute, we've spoken about celebrities. I'm going to go into very, very icy waters. Getting a CEO, I was hosting Bajaj Allianz International Oscars 3 years in a row. The MD turned out to be somebody I really have a deep admiration for. And getting a CEO to dance on stage. अब शादियों में जाते हैं, शादियों में everybody's ready, they're in a fun mood. But a CEO has a whole lot of people watching. He's got his entire team watching. On a gala night, on an awards night, when you are out there international, you want everybody to have, it goes into the after party. But the finale moment is where you have the leadership team on stage. Getting a CEO or an MD to dance on stage is probably the most difficult task because the entire team is watching. It can probably fall or it can really create a momentum for the next 3 years to happen. And the gentleman there, so you need to do your research. That's what you're often talking about. Your prep needs to be 100%. You need to be, aware of what has happened in the previous years, some moments, some touch points. You need to travel with the team, and you need to know each and every point. It's always a whole lot of hard work, but it should seem effortless on stage.
Perfect.
Do all the hard work, but make people smile on stage.
Right, perfect. One-liner Bollywood या meme reference that you would like to give to last-moment script changes. Bhavna. This was not in the script.
Say, एक second. She literally went jaldi kar subah panvel bhi nikalna hai with that question. What just happened, bro? Okay.
Okay. No, because the
That was like
time's
the
up.
insurance
Gen Z.
disclaimer. आराम से बोलो. बोलिए.
One Bollywood या meme reference that you would like to give to last-moment script changes.
जो होगा देखा जाएगा.
Yes, but exactly, right reference. Go ahead.
इतने में इतना ही मिलेगा.
Yeah, perfect. Zinia?
I think when the client comes to me backstage, which is mostly the client, mostly client comes with changes, agency spidered off. And I can't think of a dialogue or a movie film, but I can think of the first line of this very popular song, which is completely out of context here, but I'll probably look at the client and be like, Jaane do na.
Oh, you sing as well.
And
Now
then the
you've
client
told us.
will come for my cue card, pakado.
Now you've revealed that you sing, so
And
you
then I'll
have
say,
to.
chuna mujhe. No, I'm just kidding, yeah, but that's
Amazing.
what comes to mind.
Siddharth, that was specially
We have a
for
heart
you.
stealer here.
दोस्तों यहाँ पे MC के अलावा she is available for singing shows. Please everything.
जी.
हाँ?
Chalo, finally got out of the bathroom. Carry on.
अच्छा तो लास्ट मिनट चेंजेस के लिए राइट
जी.
ये है कि कॉन्फिडेंस देने के लिए उनको भी तो पता लगना चाहिए कि आप उठा सकते हो तो आप बोले क्या बोलना मुझे हाँ मीम वाला
बॉलीवुड या मीम रेफरेंस जो
अच्छा तो मैं क्या कहता हूँ हम जहाँ खड़े होते हैं लाइन वहीं से शुरू होती है बिकॉज हम जो करते हैं वहीं से सब शुरू हो जाएगा विच मीन्स यू हैव टू गिव कॉन्फिडेंस टू द क्लाइंट सेइंग बॉस हमने है तो सब ठीक है
परफेक्ट राहुल
So elegant, so beautiful, just looking like a
wow looking like a Jao.
रविन
अक्षय कुमार ना भाई बच्चे की जान लेगा क्या कितने चेंजेस चाहिए भाई
this was the most appropriate one I think.
But anyways, I just want to say one emotional line before we all leave. I always wanted to grow up and become like Anurag Batra, and he's sitting in front of us. So thank you so much, brother.
Difficult.
And,
But,
and
you
I
know,
mean for that.
I do want to take time and I want to ask you this question.
Yes.
And I came in, I have a meeting going on, which is a lot of money meeting. But I wanted to, initially thought of moderating this. Then I said, okay. But I want to ask, like, I want to give you an example. I have seen all of you. Siddharth hosted some of our biggest impact person of the year. This year, Rahul, you did. Ravin, Ankit. Ankit has done some 10 events in the last 10, 15 days in Delhi for us.
Aditya sir, कोई बात नहीं sir. हाँ ठीक है. Be a good listener sir. Yes sir.
Ravin and Aditya, मैं इसको stage पे. I want to ask.
Sir, you don't be a host, huh? Please. ऐसे नाम बोलोगे CEO का उल्टा पुल्टा तो
नहीं यार सुन ले.
career out हो जाएगा sir.
Siddharth, like I remember Kubra said she used to host our events. And she has become an actress, right? Now you were a radio jockey, you become an anchor, then you're doing a show. What is the aspiration of each one of you beyond hosting events? That's what I want to know. Bhavna?
So my personal aspiration when I entered the field, so I was placed in Google. I always wanted to make communication women-based, very intellectual, very refined. I want to add more content creation, but in a different perspective. Like if I am talking about sustainability, I take that as a core topic. So I'm trying to create my future aspiration is that whoever hears me next, I'm adding value to them. And I have 3 core topics. One is politics, one is sustainability, and one is real life stories. So I have it pictured it all out. I have it drafted, and that is what I'm going to be
You want to
delivering
be a
next.
storyteller, right?
Yes, that's my next.
Mr. Malik?
So from where I come from, Bareilly, my parents still, if they ask them कि आपका बेटा क्या करता है, कहते हैं नौटंकी करता है. Very, this is what father says now, and he says, तो अच्छे shows करता है, तो महंगी नौटंकी करता है. This is what my father tells everybody. And personally, if you ask me where do I want to land up or aspirational wise, अभी मेरा क्या सपने हैं? It is to make people feel and believe कि emceeing is just not कि अरे अच्छा ये तो कर रहे हो और job क्या करते हो? It is to let people believe कि हाँ भाई this is also something like a regular job, and then try and train people first of course with your voice. Second is also your personality, because at least मैं उसी का खा रहा हूँ. My body school really shaped me. So I want to inculcate that in people. Of course, not via school, but that is what my aspiration is to. It's to deliver and impart as much as I can from what I experience and then express in others or with others.
All right, great question. Yes. So beyond the stage, I aspire to make movies. I've already had the privilege of producing 2 amazing short films that have won global awards. Because just like Bhavna, I'm too a storyteller. I just can't be on camera, so I'd prefer being off it and write, direct, and produce. The second is I'm working on a business idea. I want to own a business that sells a tangible product, Batraji. So that is the next thing I am working on. And I think my third biggest aspiration is to reach that day when I'm absolutely fearless on stage.
Wow, such an honest answer. I really like that, honestly. Wow. So, you know, whenever I used to host, so लोग say, ठीक है, you're hosting, but actor नहीं बनना है क्या? And I remember, you know, when these Bollywood directors, Imtiaz Ali, everyone used to come, and I used to have people in those days saying, पूछना acting के लिए पूछना. And I never wanted to be an actor because I truly believed I wanted to be a specialist in what I do. And believe you me, hosting is a specialization. You master it, you don't need to do anything right, left. But hosting is truly specialization. However, saying that, it leads to a lot of things, keeping your core in mind. Like the other day, with due respect to someone is a host, but also runs a chicken, wrap shop as well, you know. So I never wanted to do that. I wanted to stick to my core. But in my head, I never wanted to be dependent on anyone. I wanted to be an individual entity where I not only take checks, but give checks to people.
I'll give you my account number.
अरे sir, but कभी कभार bounce checks नहीं sir, आपको तो पूरा sir प्यार का. And then I worked towards becoming a platform by myself. So I started my YouTube channel, which started doing very, very, very well. Now we have a sales team, we have a marketing team, we've got writers, we've got coordinators for guests, and it's run like how a TV channel runs. So it's got lots of brands coming in, we shoot very well. So that led to being a media platform by myself. So I used to see, corporate people, politicians, actors going to media platforms. And I wanted to be this individual where people come to him for interviews before media platforms. And I think I've achieved that in the last 2 to 3 years, where they come to an individual to give interviews before a media platform. That led to, obviously, becoming a media platform, which moves into, in a couple of months, in less than 2 to 3 months, with great funding that's come in, I'm going to start my own edtech platform. I have a word called Angar, which I use in my podcast a lot. So my Angar merchandise is coming out tremendously. Besides that, I'm angel investing in quite a few firms as well. So thankfully, when I step out now, when I do events, I'm fearless. When I do interviews, I'm fearless because the one person that I report to is myself, which makes me feel very, very empowered.
Amazing.
I'd just like to add, I was a college-going boy, and I opened the Impact magazine, and I used to look at pictures of Sam Balsara, Dr. Batra, industry legends, and I used to actually call those agencies survey back. Okay, so these are top 10 advertising agencies. And little did I know, a good 10 years, 12 years down the line, I get to be on stage at an E4M platform with the best of the best in the industry to my right and left, with Dr. Batra sitting there. I never imagined it. So ladies and gentlemen, I think life gives you fun surprises. Just like an MC on stage, there's something that comes your way. I will always look forward to being associated with Exchange for Media in one way or the other, probably working with you in the team, sir. Probably that's one thing on my bucket list. But maybe not, just going to acting or something. But there's something that I like to be associated with people, and that's what I look forward to. And a big, big thank you for organizing all of us together at one platform.
Ravin.
Honestly, I aspire to have my marketing as good as my man right here, booking 10 shows in a single answer, right? Fantastic. No, seriously, you aspire for financial freedom firstly. Once you have that, then it's more about giving back value. There is something spiritual there. If you help people evolve with your craft, be it entertaining them in whatever capacity you can. And once you have a hang of a community around you, that's where you try and, probably live your life to the fullest and try and give people opportunity, just like Sid Bhai said. 5 people who started working with me on the team. One is right over there. This man has been capturing me for a few years now. So he makes me look good, puts my content out, gets me more work, and at the end, he also is getting financially, the freedom that we all aspire to. So I think that's the goal at the end, कि घर बनाए तो डॉक्टर बत्रा की कोठी के साथ में बनाए.
But I have to add one thing.
Dr. Mukesh Batra's home is in Goa.
Sir, but एक
भी
बहुत गंभीर बात, okay? I want to tell you this. So, lot of anchors, because they're great in what they do, but it's a brilliant question that Anurag asked. You got to let money work for you, right? You have to. Sometimes I've heard कि यार मैं बीमार पड़ गया. Like I heard a few anchors, very unfortunately, have really, been unwell mentally and physically because of the workload that happens. And then I was talking to one of the boys a couple of weeks back, and he was like, 3 mahina maine kaam nahi karo, kya ho raha hai shows ka? And I remember this conversation used to happen with me years back. Like, for example, I'm talking to you right now, right? I'm so light. When I'm talking to them, I don't have my phone around. I'm just focusing on the conversation. Because right now, while I'm doing this fun fair, talking to you guys, someone from my team is doing an interview with a Bollywood actor right now. And they are working for me, making money for themselves and making it for me as well. So it's like the Shah Rukh Khan module, right? A guy who's a phenomenal actor opened up so many branches which is related to himself. But he's got the force working for the brand Shah Rukh Khan, which MCs have to do. When the going's great, you've got to think of avenues. I'm not saying become a chef, that also you can be. But start parallel things which relate to what you stand for.
Right, makes sense.
I think just to add in the lines as Sir asked that for all of us, I think, sir, combined, going forward, looking at how the creators are working with digital age, all of us will start building our own communities जहाँ पे ये merchandise ये बेच सकते हैं, वो Ravin भी कुछ कर सकता है. I think that is what we all aspire in one sense, I feel. Building our personal communities. I feel.
Great. Any other? We can take, I think, one question.
हाँ, because time of वाला screen अभी blank हो चुका है.
हाँ, वो अब
They've given up on
अच्छा
us.
एक बहुत
think-
पैराडाइम शिफ्ट आ रहा है जो मैं आप सबको बताना चाह रहा हूँ, especially in the corporate and wedding world, all right? Like today, and I'm telling this to all our friends on stage, like sometimes I'm actually called where the brand says you host, but can you put up a reel for me? And today, my team and I genuinely charge for those reels that go up for a brand which I'm hosting for. So your digital and live has to work. I put up a reel sometimes. If I care for someone, I do it FOC. But would you believe 99% of my reels on Instagram when I'm putting for an event is paid for the brand. Today, even brides and bridegrooms actually tell the agency saying, you know, can Siddharth put it on the digital space? And I actually charge the agency to put that real content up. So you got to use your digital and your hosting skills and amplify it. Of course, there's relationships also. So friends say, chalo kar do, you do it. But that's how you can monetize yourself even better.
great, lovely. I think the audience has seen our faces for too long now. We should not bore them more than that. Thank you so much. We shall now wrap the panel. Thank you so much, everybody, for giving up your time for this.